is May 24th, 2025. Okay. Yesterday on the 23rd, I went over to my son Danny's house and we were sitting talking. And I told him, I took him outside and I was talking to him. I said, Daniel, my grandson, had said at the beginning of the week that somebody did something to him. And it was so bad he couldn't talk about it. And I said, I took him out again. And he told me that again. That he's getting better, but he still can't handle what somebody did. I said, somebody did something shitty to him. I said, he told me he has to learn his, also, we were talking about, what he has to learn because in history he's not doing real well. I said, well, history is easy. It's time and dates, places. He said, well, he had to learn his constitutional rights. And I told him, I said, it's very important you learn your rights so people can't scam you. And that the Constitution protects you. And if people, I said, I'm a victim of scams, really bad ones. People scam me and then showed up in stores and screamed stuff at me. He just looked at me. And I told Danny this. I said, and when you look up the laws, they can't do any of this. And I said, remember when I asked you years ago if you knew about the button cameras and you said you didn't know? Yeah, Carl's sitting right there. You didn't know about that weird Eric screaming out all the tapes before were me and not her. It was my idea to come up with it. My idea to do it. My idea to say it. For all these people to turn on and they fell for it. He's like, yeah, I didn't know anything. He said, I said, you didn't know? No, I didn't. He said, and how did he do it? I went, He started laughing. And I said, but they ran so many scams. But if you think about it, what they did, they can't do any of it. I said, one of their scams was they hired a dirty doctor on their own. Now, doctors cannot treat you without signed consent. Well, of course they can't. I said, that or assault and battery. Of course it would be. I said medical malpractice, medical malpractice, and medical negligence, and assault and battery. Of course it would be. I said one of their scams where they hired a dirty doctor on their own to break in, drug me up where I had all the bruises, throwing up, and passing out, where they had a doctor do it and tell me to say something horrible. And they're laughing that they said they had a doctor do it. It's like first and last name, a dirty doctor. There's medical malpractice attorneys. I'll be a millionaire. There's a retirement plan. He started laughing. He said there would be. It's like name a dirty doctor. They can't hire a doctor to break in, stab me with cocktail drugs like a date rape drug and tell me to say something stupid. That's insane. He said it is. I said, I'd own him. I said, but that was one of their scams. That, and I said, with the right to privacy of your house, I said, police and agencies can only be in your home under a threat of life with statements without a conflict of interest. They have to have a court order. Of course they do. One of their scams was they had special permission to be in my home. I said, there's no such thing. He said, I know there isn't. I said, that's why I told Daniel, you have to learn your rights. And then when people say they did something to you, Google it. They can't. I said, my friend from the prosecutor's office, he said, where you had bruises all over you, throwing up, and da-da-da-da-da, you had to be seen by a real doctor for all those injuries. Somebody was hurting you. It's like name a dirty doctor. I said, it's just like, you know how you didn't know about the shower scene in the other button cameras and the shower scene in the other room and me washing myself to make me look weird? You didn't know anything about it. No. He was supposed to have been the one that reported it and he didn't know anything. I said, well, did you know about Michelle? He said, I don't know no Michelle. I said, the young blonde girl? He said, I didn't know anything about no young blonde girl named Michelle. I said, well, Carl's seen her. I said, some investigator dated her on a rouge. Got her to confess that doctor was never one of mine, and he works for them, and they had lied. And soon as she confessed and confessed other stuff to him, he broke up with her. He started laughing. I said she was so angry. I said she had a habit of following me around. I said at Sheetz gas station on April 17th, I said she walks out. She's still so angry that guy broke up with her. She's yelling it in the parking lot of Sheetz. He started laughing. I said these big investigators' vehicles went and stopped. They got her under police surveillance. About how she had told, they said how dumb she was, telling that guy that doctor wasn't one of mine but worked for them, and they had lied. He started laughing. I thought, no more dumb than screaming that in the parking lot in front of the police. You try to run a fraud scheme on somebody, they're going to get you. He said, I know they will. I said, this whole thing's a fraud scheme. You look at the law, they can't do any of it. Stalking tapes, drug confessions from a dirty doctor. It's like, name a dirty doctor. I want to be a millionaire. He said, you would be. I said, there is a retirement plan here. Now, think about that. That's where the FBI said, how dumb were they trying this? No doctor, me and Danny even went over. I said, doctors can't even admit they've seen you without your signed consent. He said, I know that. They can't say anything you said to them. What they treated you for? Nothing, for HIPAA and Privacy Acts. I know that. So think of their scam of a dirty doctor taping you unaware. It says on Google it's illegal for a doctor to tape you unaware because of privacy and HIPAA. They go to jail for it. Well, of course they would. Having a dirty doctor tape me unaware, confessing a crime, and and sat on it. They'd go to jail. Let alone, they were trying to say they had truth serum, and it was a cocktail of drugs, where I was waking up with all those bruises and getting sick. Drugged me up and told me to say horrible stuff, I found out. I said, they can't do that. Name a dirty doctor. He said, really? I said, that's a retirement plan. I said, but think how dumb it is. They can't do any of that. Well, I said, investigators said, you wouldn't believe how dumb these people are. And how dumb they really are trying this. They said it sounded mechanical. They knew that Photoshopped or washing yourself in the shower was Photoshopped in another room. They could tell. They actually tried something that dumb. I said, but I told Daniel he needed to learn his rights so people can't scam him. I said, now that I shared with you, would you like to tell me what happened to you? No, I can't talk about it. He didn't go to school yesterday. It was 4 o'clock in the afternoon. He still hadn't got out of bed. He won't say what somebody did to him. He went over to that fucking occult last weekend. They probably bullied him and made fun of him for what they did to me. And it's too much for him. So where you think it's funny bullying people, these people are deranged. They're insane in their thinking. Thinking that they, like last Saturday, that apostolic, godless bitch walking by. Thank goodness we had a doctor tape her unaware. Thank goodness we had that doctor have her say that. What the hell did you say? Because we had that doctor have her say that. We got an agreement with law enforcement. We can do whatever we want to her. And just say we made fun of her when we got done. Psycho bitch. That, I had investigators around Christmas. And the apostolic churches in this area are nothing but pure evil. They are. They're Jim Jones occults. People have been running around like it's funny. The cartel, according to Carl's banker, said got a hold of a lot of thousands and thousands, that's how she put it, thousands and thousands of people's IDs. They don't know how they got them. And they've created new IDs out of people's. And they're scamming thousands of people at one time. Stealing their money, assets. Well, I know how they got them. Well, not only Altman Hospital was letting them in the back. That one guy was in the billing department fishing for information. Now, I used to work in a bank. Okay? Loan companies. You're trained for people fishing for information. You're trained. You have to do modules on them. If an FBI agent walked in, flashed his badge at me, I want so-and-so's bank statement. I would be getting the manager. The manager would be pulling him in the office. They would be calling the main office. Do you have a court order that we can verify? Because if we can't verify that court order, you're not getting nothing. Does the FBI need to walk into a bank? No. Why? It's the government. For God's sake, it's the government. They can look up your bank records on their own. You forget who you're playing with. You're playing with the United States government. The people that are law enforcement over, the people that run our government, well, think about that, and that work in it, that runs it. Oh, did you forget who you're playing with? The people that are attached to every kind of everything. You think it's funny? They're law enforcement over the government. So where did you think you could play with them? So would an FBI agent be in Altman Hospital Billing Department July 8th, 24, 9:10 in the morning? No. Do they care I paid my little $25 payment to Altman Hospital? No. They can look it up on their computer. They're not bill collectors. They're investigators. So where they said that guy was saying he was an agent over my case in there, he's not even an agent. And that billing department, what the fuck were they doing letting him in there? That I could hear him while she was talking to me. What the hell was he doing in there? Tell you, what do you get from a hospital? Somebody's name, birthday, social, address. Guess what you just got? Somebody's ID. You can create a whole new one. So did dirty doctor that breaks in. Now I want you to think some Jack the Ripper rapist doctor. Breaking in some private home. Being hired by an occult and a guy trying to kill her. Kill his wife. Break in somebody's home. Stab poor some woman in her sleep. Drug her up and tell her to say something awful like that. Then let the cartel guys beat rape her because he's a human trafficker. How on earth would you explain that one? Where they yelled out on May 22nd, 25 in Walmart West Desk. They've said they hired a neuropsychiatrist. I had never even heard of such a thing. I Googled to make sure they didn't make it up. They said, and he said, the way he examines people, he drugs them up. And he cannot be hired to go in and drug some woman up and tell him to say something like that. It's insane. Like the lady said on the 23rd in Walmart 62, it's assault with a deadly weapon. It's medical negligence and medical malpractice. Name a dirty doctor that was stabbing me with date rape drugs. The investigators said that they were using some guy up there to keep me drugged up. He was human trafficking me to the cartel. I would take a drink out of my Diet Coke. The room would go dizzy and black. I'd wake up with injection mark, orange, lemon, grapefruit-sized bruises all over me. Throwing up, dizzy, almost passing out. My personal area was so swollen it was pushed open and down. I'd scream when I'd pee. Like they said, Karen's ex-husband had her so drugged up there. They were drug beating, raping her, and she wasn't realizing what was happening. I was blaming the dirty well water. Our well water was orange. We had to get a water treatment system. It took a couple months for them to bring it in. I brought in bottled water to cook and to drink. But I had, you have to wash your hands after you go to the bathroom. You had to get a shower, a fast one. And I thought just showering in it was giving me cancer, infecting my personal area, making me sick. I was talking to a doctor about it. I said, I kept blaming the dirty well water. I didn't think of a rapist. You know what they told me? If that well water would have had E. coli in it, it would have actually made you that sick. Because you've been washing that all over your body. It didn't have E. coli. We had it tested, it had iron in it, high levels of iron. That won't do anything. Except for dye your skin orange. Because it's got so much orange in it. Huh? See what I mean? It's just iron. Rusty pipes. Kind of thing. Now, I want you to think about that. What drugs they were using on me? August of 19, beginning of September 19, I started Ohio Catholic Bank. I had to have a drug test. I go upstairs and the manager of the bank is complaining. We got our drug test back. She was so full of drugs, it would have knocked out a horse. She had Valium mixed with all these other drugs, and he's naming it off. He said she's up walking around and it would have knocked out a horse. They said she's helping the FBI with the case, and no one's allowed to say a word to her, where they were still breaking in and stabbing me and telling me to say all kinds of crazy crap and human trafficking me out of my apartment. Name a dirty doctor. In 18, the Florida drug cartel, they showed up, and they said they were drug traders and human traffickers from Florida. They worked for Judge Peters. They were relocating people to Florida to a resort area. Okay? They said they had a doctor that worked for them that was running experiments on people. Okay? And they were even relocating people to Florida to keep them in a room and watch them while he ran experiments on them. It's like, oh, hell no. They said they were using him. Beginning of 19, January to probably March of 19, I'm in the mall. The drug traders came up, the doctor that's been running experiments on you with experimental drugs. He said he'd actually like to meet the person that he did the experiments on. Oh, hell no. He's outside the food court. Oh, hell no. Found somebody to talk to, got out through Macy's and got the hell out of there. But they even had talked in different places that he was using experimental drugs on me, besides their fake sodium pentothal reports. And that's why she's losing so much weight. I lost 70 pounds in protected custody. I had up to 5 to 7 injection marks on my legs, plus bruises on my stomach. And we're talking orange, lemon, and grapefruit sized bruises. One bruise was probably, oh God, the size of a cucumber on my stomach. If you watch the case in 1819, I'll wake up with injection marks and giant bruises where they were drugging me and beating on me before and raping me. They did it in front of the cops. And the facts. I had bruises everywhere. My intestines are damaged. The doctor said you have very large pouching in your intestines. Were you ever hit your stomach really hard? And I said, yes. And they said it's the only thing that causes it is to be beat in your stomach really hard several times. Yeah. Besides that idiot beat me in my stomach and knocked me into wood railing and chicken wing in my arm for not answering my phone. He couldn't find me one day and he couldn't call someone to show up to try to kill me. I didn't answer my phone after I got almost shot in the head driving. I found out if the church people and Dave didn't know where I was safe. So I stopped answering my phone. Now, I want you people to think about this. They admitted in 18 and 19 he never met me. So where everybody's mad, and then Dave told Danny, where I asked Danny and Jen on Christmas Eve of 22 if they knew where when we first moved up there on the 6th day, when we were at the storage unit, that somebody kicked our door into the wall. And they knew someone kicked our door in. I said, did you know about mountain cameras? No. Okay. Did you know about they're laughing at me in stores in front of people? They photoshopped a shower scene of me washing myself in the shower. Did you know about it? To make me look weird. He's like, no. I said, do you remember the orange, lemon, and grapefruit sized bruises all over me? Almost passed out, including in front of the neighbor by the second week. Yeah, I remember that. Kept happening. Yeah, I remember that. I said, did you know they were drugging and beating me and tell me to say weirdo stuff I've heard? No, I thought you were working. And Jen looked at me and went, I thought you were working too hard and bruising too easy. I didn't think about it. Kids came out of the room. Grandma, we didn't know. Okay. Well, Jen's mom had died. Danny, my son, his wife. And they had a memorial service, April 16th, 23. I walk out after the service. I go to get my car. He's across the parking lot. He's not too far. But he didn't realize I heard. My oldest son, Gabe's in his 20s and early 20s. He was like 19, 20 by then. He's in his early 20s now. Him and his girlfriend, Shay, they walk up to him. He said, I finally called Dad and asked him what on earth is going on. He said, he had hired some guy named Pete on his own to tape her underwear. It was Pete and his men at her home before. And Pete has her taped, saying the filthy, dirty statement. And Pete's got her framed. The name to the person that was drugging me and telling me to say stuff. Now, I want you to think about this. Oh, the cartel was mad. That idiot told on us. We were hoping if we said all these different people did it, they'd never find out who did it. He told on who did it. Some guy named Pete up there. There's him and his men. Now, the investigators said they were using some guy up there to keep me drugged up, and they knew they were using him to keep me drugged up there. In January of 24, December of 23, out in Alliance on a Sunday night, some investigators were talking when the case first started. We found out Karen's ex-husband was keeping her so drugged up there that they were drug beating, raping her. And she wasn't realizing what was happening. They said it was some judge up there messed up in the drug cartel. And told everybody to stay out of it. They wanted his connections. But here's just some guy saying he's a judge. Okay. They had made up a scam of a retired Judge Pete, friends with Judge Timothy Ludick and Judge Stephen. They were letting his friend get away with crimes. They had asked those judges, they didn't know who he was. They were framing him. They are framing Chief Bruce Zawinski up there, Portage County Chief of Police, telling people that he is giving the cartel special permission to break in people's homes, special permission to drug them for fake confessions and beat and rape them and Photoshop things. That he's allowing it. He doesn't know. Nobody's that stupid. It's a big scam. Where that apostolic girl on May 17th, 25, Soul's Palace walks by. Thank goodness. We had a doctor tape her on the way. We had that doctor have her state da 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 filthy statement. Because we had that doctor do it to her. You know, where I've stayed out of I was left in the cartel, middle of the cartels. Human traffickers breaking their crime under police surveillance. You know, it was on the news last year up in Akron, the despicable act of some law enforcement feeding women and children back to drug dealers to get the drug dealers. It should never happen, and it's happening. Oh, it's happening more than what you think. They fed me right back to them. For me, not, see, that's one bad thing. When I stayed out of what Dave had said to Danny. I thought, well, he don't know. I'm just gonna. Dave's messed up in the cartel, and I have been trying to tell him he was messed up in really bad crimes. And I've been trying, I asked him if they knew about drug confessions that, I even told him how the U.S. Marshals kid got roofied twice. She moved out of the area for safety. Mine getting roofied, telling people he was an astronaut, tried to tell me it was a New York cop. Dog being taken, and they know you're sleepwalking with roofies. Get them the idea of what they were doing to me. Okay? And then, trying to let them know Dave was messed up in crimes up there. Oh, we knew he was messed up in crimes. Even Jen said that. You don't realize the levels. The levels of crimes. But this whole scam of them framing me, I'd already asked him. That's why Jen told Dixie she wanted nothing to do with this. Nothing to do with it. But them running around bad-mouthing me. How they've got me framed, how they're going to steal Carl's money, how they're going to steal from the government. They're insane. They're morbid in their thinking, deranged, that they can harm people and extort money. And it's so illegal you go to jail for it. But they're so caught up that they've got away with these crimes, they think they're unstoppable. But you know what? With me not going in there and putting a stop to it, you know what happened? That apostolic girl, last Saturday, under police surveillance, confessed that they had hired that doctor. They had him take me unaware. They had him have me say that. Let's see. Michelle confessed to an agent. That he wasn't my doctor. He works for them, and they have lied. They already said that in 18. Reset it again. She said it to an agent on March 27th, 25, and then in Sheets parking lot, April 17th, 25. The drug cartel, April 3rd, 25, at Dutch Valley Restaurant in Sugar Creek. Announced it outside. The cartel screamed it out in Summit Mall. You tell that guy Will up there he was to run a scam to join us. And it's ruined because Michelle told on them that it wasn't one of her doctors, and they had lied. His whole scam's running. You tell him we said to take care of her. They left several threats on that girl for telling on him. After that, they screamed it out. People were talking on Mother's Day. That other cartel was up here threatening Michelle. Are they crazy? For her telling on them that doctor wasn't one of theirs, but one of hers, but works for them, and they had lied. They were talking about it in Maslin. Everybody knows that wasn't my doctor. Well, I made sure that I told Danny that was one of their scams. I said, first and last name of Dirty Doctor, I want to be a millionaire. He said, yeah, I know. I said, retirement plan, make Karen a millionaire. I said, but people ran horrible scams on me. Now, people threatening Michelle, I mean, Dave already told on him. The cartel already told him. See, they keep pulling back up their scams. See, that's where me and Daniel need to flat out have a talk, where I've already talked to Danny about it. I made sure I said it loud enough for Tyler here. Daniel went over to that church last weekend, and by Monday or Tuesday, he wasn't okay. Somebody had did something to him. And by Thursday, he said he was getting better, but he still wasn't okay. And Friday, he didn't go to school, and he didn't get out of bed all day. What the fuck happened? They already tried to push my son Danny to suicide. I told him not to let his kids go back over there. You know what they did to you? Oh, they're different now. No, they're not. They're worse. They're an evil cult. Like investigators said, those apostolic churches are nothing but pure evil. Now, think about this. Can you walk into a police or FBI agent's office and say, you hired a doctor on your own to go in and drug up this poor person and tape them? What would happen to you? You'd be nailed to his desk. You and the doctor. They cannot touch you. They cannot treat you without your written consent. You cannot hire a doctor to drug somebody up and tell them to say something stupid and then have the human traffickers beat and rape them. He is part of the drug cartel. Where investigators said we all know they were using that guy up there to keep her drugged up. You know, the drugs they were using on me, not only did they make me vomit and dizzy and almost pass out. One time I went to get my car and my vision, it went, and I'm like, what is wrong with me? And I'm rubbing my eyes and I can't even see straight. I go to back out and I hit a tree. And it is like, what on earth is wrong with me? They were drugging the hell out of me. I lost 18 pounds before I called FBI and another 70 from October to May. That fast. Another 70. I was losing 5 to 7 pounds a week. You pull the case and watch them drug the hell out of me, beat and rape me, what they were doing before. They did it in front of the cops. In fact, they thought they fooled them and that they owned them then. You know, in January 19 in Walmart, they said, remember the truth. They'll try to implant lies. They'll try to steal everything you have in life. And the agent is so corrupt, he'll try to steal her money. You know, Agent John, my friend Grant lives in another state. He has an FBI agent friend in another state. He told him that you didn't pay me. He said if she really didn't get her money, then the only one could steal that money is that agent. I mean, he's probably got someone in that office covering for him. Because he even said, you don't have authority to ask anybody to stay quiet. You're only a police officer. Freedom of speech, it takes a judge. And only a judge. Police officers don't have enough authority to tell anybody they can't say anything. And then in my case, you already told on me and confessed on a recorded line. Then it makes it stupid. According to the lady supervisors, you were told to go tell on me to that church before you talked to me and find out who all was involved and to act stupid like these people. It was supposed to be an act. See, that's where I talk to a criminal attorney. I talk to the police. I talk to the prosecutor's office. You're only a hired police officer. You do not have the authority to ask anybody to stay quiet because it's a freedom of speech that takes a judge. And it cannot be in a quarter, and no judge could sign that. They would be arrested by the Department of Justice. You can't tell people they can't say anything. It takes a judge and a jury trial. That judge that signed it would be arrested. You are only bullying me. And then you've already told on me, then it makes it stupid. The money is for risking your life to get get the government information. Only. You go in basically as a civilian spy and get them information, and they protect you. They give you money for the rest of your life, for risking your life. It's like going to war in the military. You get home, you get your VA benefits. And it's for going over there and serving in the military. Not for you staying quiet. It's not blackmail money. It's for risking your life to get the government information, and that's why you stay in immunity, so that the people can't run scams on you or harm you, and you stay in protective custody for you telling on them. See, that's where my friend from the prosecutor's office said, Karen, you don't realize you're in one of the many witness protection programs. Informants are different. You stay yourself, you feed them information. You get the money for risking your life to get them information. You can tell whoever you want. That agent doesn't have enough authority to ask you to stay quiet. You can tell anybody to stay quiet. He was only bullying you. It was actually illegal for him to even say it. You can tell whoever you want. He can't say a word. I said, well, you already told on me. He can't tell on you, but you can tell whoever you want. And he was only bullying you to get away with this. And they gave you the money for risking your life and only for risking your life. Criminal attorneys said the same thing. Police I talked to out of this area, they want to know why our police didn't arrest you. And even friends, Grant's friend that's an FBI agent said the same thing. The only one that could steal my money is you. And you don't have the authority to stop it from coming in. And you can't misdirect it, and you can't do anything. It's for risking my life. To get them information, every case comes with money and immunity. So, who are you done bullshitting people? I want you to think about that. Now, think about the recorded line. Where I had called the hotline, and the next day they drugged me out so bad I couldn't answer the phone. According to the lady agents on the 19th, they walked into your office, confessed they already knew, and that you guys never fell for those scams. And they told you to go up to that church and tell on me, or you talk to me. And to act as dumb as these people. So on the recorded line where I told them, someone told on me the night before, you're like, you liar. Telling you about the guy that threatened to knife me at Giant Eagle. Call me a liar, start screaming about a camera above the bench. I didn't know. Say you're lying, I'll arrest you. I said, well, he tried to kidnap me before I could see Terry Coverly seen him. You said, oh, come on now. I met with that family in my office and all those church people. I know they're trying to kill you. And you say strangest lie. Call me a faker 15 years before that. Huh? What did you just say? You met with the apostolics and you told. They knew I called the FBI. So why would you stay quiet? They already know. And I said I really was sick before, you liar. You say, I'll leave you there. It's like, fine, whatever. Because even if a church person seen him, they'd never verify it. That's why I didn't tell you about Terry. Because I met with that family in my office and all those church people. Conspiracy to commit murder is a federal crime. They confessed to you they were trying to kill me. And I had attempts. Why didn't you arrest them? Was there a camera above the bench or not? I don't know. Say your louder, I'll put you in jail. You hear me right? It's like, fine, whatever. Ha 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 ha. Why you say you're faking you're sick before? I almost died from medical malpractice and medication errors. I said I really was sick before. You liar. I met with that family in my office and all those church people, and I know they're trying to kill you. And you say strangers lie. And I said I really was sick before. You liar. You need to realize what you've done, and I don't blame her for trying to kill you. That's what you said on a recorded line. I said I really was sick before. You liar. You say it or I'll leave you there. Start screaming at me. It's like, please don't let them they'll kill me. So you say it or I'll leave you there. It's like, fine, just don't let them kill me. Ha 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 ha. Confess again, you told on me. So why would I stay quiet if they already know? That's stupid. Then you're like, why would the FBI help a person like you? Well, they're going to try to kill me, so they've tried to kill me, so. The other agent said, well, we could always use Pete's tapes. The guy Dave hired on his own. The guy that was having those people drug me and rape me, the human trafficker. Why didn't you arrest him? The scam of the shower scene in the other room. Why didn't you arrest him? You had him in your office. For we could always use Pete's tape of weird with yourself. It's a shower scene of washing yourself. I said, what are you talking about? I didn't even know who he was. I'm still not 100% who he is. The only Pete I knew was my brother in Medina. I said, what are you talking about? He said something else, and it has to be a black and blue mark because I don't know who he is. I'm like, what are you talking about? He said, stop, you don't know. I don't know who he is. And then he's like, well, I bet you're going to say you don't know anything about this doctor and says that, da. Well, I thought it was the other lady using my insurance, which I found out through the FBI is a girlfriend of Dave's from before our marriage. My marriage was a scam. He married me to get a job at my dad's factory. And it was her using my insurance, running up all kinds of medical bills. And half my medical information is hers. And I thought, well, maybe it's one of hers. I'm like, and he's saying stuff, and I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. He started laughing. Stop, you don't know. It's not my doctor. They hired him to drug me up and tell me to say stuff. Where did you get the signed consent for him to treat me? He never had it. They hired him on his own to drug me up, to tell me to say stuff. Why didn't you arrest him? It's illegal for a doctor to tape you unaware. It's illegal. So why didn't you arrest him? And it's not my doctor on top of it. They hired him to drug me up to free me and tell me to say that stuff. Why didn't you arrest him? Huh? For assault with a deadly weapon. Medical negligence, medical malpractice. Why didn't you arrest him? I still don't know who he is. Like they said, it's not her doctor. She does not know who he is. He's some sexual predator running scams on people in their homes, breaking in, some Jack the Ripper. Working with the cartel running scams on people. Why didn't you arrest him? Now, you've already confessed. You've already talked to everybody. And you sound like a nut. And I said, I don't know what you're talking about. He's laughing. Stop. You don't know. Give me a real reason why we should help you. My brother-in-law, Craig, died working for the government. Tell him about that. He said, well, have you talked to any law enforcement about threats on your life? I said, the only two officers I've ever talked to up here, they were silly. I call them silly or stupid. They showed up on August 8th of 18, midnight, security system. I had a light in the security system at midnight. Came out and said it looked like an alien orb, angry spirit, and told me to buy a dog and let a dog handle it. They didn't want to bother. You're kidding. I said, no. And I said, I've never even had my neighbors in my home. I've had family and repair guys. I don't know what you're talking about. Is that what's going on? Do you know if Dave's cheating on you? I said, I've never caught him. He starts laughing. She said she never caught him. They verified that December 9th, 18. I never caught him, so why is that funny? It's not. He said, well, I'll tell you what, I could take you somewhere and leave you. Comes with no money. I have no money to start. He's like, well, I can open an informant program. Comes with $5,000 a month. I'll load it on a card today. I said, I can do that when we come down and pick up the card. I never got down there. He said, you'll have a life of peace as an informant. Nothing legally stated, dated against you again, and only for you, and only for you would we ever do this for. We'll always put it back as if it never happened. And you can't be legally charged for anything again for working this case. You have that money to live on. Admit to no wrongdoing. I'll take care of everything in the end. But if you try to tell someone, now he's already admitted he talked to everyone. They all know the FBI is involved. You try to tell someone, the FBI won't help you. I'll tell people you're crazy. You cannot withhold protection. 14th Amendment. The FBI has been involved the whole time. People around me are agents and police officers and marshals. You can't withhold protection. You can't withhold my money either. But if you try to tell someone, the FBI won't help you. And I'll tell people you're crazy. But if you need help, my best friend is the chief of police of Canton. He's a really good man. You can trust him and he'll make sure the Canton police always protect you. He said if he can't get a hold of me. I told my friend from the prosecutor's office. He laughed and cried. Tears struggling. He could not talk to you that way. Criminal attorney's mouth dropped open. He could not talk to you that way. That's illegal. He can't ask you to stay quiet. He's only a higher officer. He does not have the authority to ask anybody to stay quiet. It takes a judge in a jury trial, freedom of speech. I said, well, he's already confessed. He told. He can't talk to you like that, and he can't tell on you. But you can say whatever you want, and he can't say a word. He cannot misdirect your money. He cannot withhold it. He cannot make up restrictions. It's for risking your life to get them information only. He was only bullying you, and the police know that. So they get away with this. So Agent John, I would like my money. I would like it. You know where Carl's banker said that cartel has thousands of people's information? Dirty doctors steal it from hospitals? Or did those dumb people at Altman Hospital that were letting him in the back let him touch a computer and it was a cartel? Huh? They have fake badges. They were even at Faith Family Church, the Florida drug cartel, saying they work for Judge Peters. Michelle was with them. That they were hurting me and they were the ones hurting me before. They had fake FBI agents with them, and including the guy that raped and tortured me July to September 19. Sold videos of it to even children. That's where my friend from the prosecutor's office said, you know, where people are laughing at you in front of people in stores that they photoshopped a shower scene and washing yourself in the other room. They probably did. It's clicking and pasting to make you look weird. Where you had all the signs of being drugged, being raped, somebody was hurting you. They probably did drug you up until you say something stupid. It's a big fraud scheme, Karen. That's all it is. Now, Agent John, I need that money. I have to get, Daniel needs 5 teeth pulled, couple cavities filled. Tyler asked me to take him to the dentist too. I need my money. I almost died to save my children and my grandchildren when Dave threatened to kill them all. I let them go after me so they wouldn't die. Not for you to steal from cases and to feed victims back to the cartel. I got you Trekasami. I got you Judge Peters out of Florida and 100 men. I got you thousands of drug cartel guys, and they saved hundreds of children. I like my damn money. I go up into Akron. Karen's will is still open. We all know it's part of the nationwide human trafficking scam. This is part of the mega case from the FBI. These people hacked into it, they sold it, and made it public. Everybody that listens to me, go tell on the dirty doctor was not mine, but works for them. I heard a large group of people walked into the FBI office, the investigator's office, and told on them. More people do it. Tell on them. It's a cartel running scams on people. That's all it is. It's a drug scam from the drug dealers that are human trafficking people. Maddie's friend got a hold of the U.S. Marshals January 20th, 23. Showed up in Worcester, used the case, got 800 people. Like they said, she was part of a big bust. I was left in the middle of the cartels with a legally bugged phone, car, and home, and a sheriff or an officer or agent documenting everything that was said and done every day. They had them under legal police surveillance with a quarter, with a threat and threat and attempt to life case. Or protected custody for an FBI informant with statements. Like they said, the way that agent opened that case, they don't even need her. It's legal police surveillance. It stands up in court without her. You got all those people, like they said on the 19th, the lady agents that showed up, how dumb these people were trying this. That the investigators feel bad for what they let her live through. So they could get those people. Other ones had even said before that the ones that work her case feel horrible. They let them torture her. So they gained their trust so they could find the people they took. They sacrificed me. I like when you have money. Wasn't one of your agents. One of your agents would have lived through this. They would have got awards from the government. No, it was a little old lady that called for help, that was scared for her life, that you left in hell and betrayed. I'd like my money. Officer John or Mark or whatever sheriff, would you please go to the courthouse? It may still be in my file, but if not, you need to arrest Agent John for obstruction of justice, tampering with a witness, and theft from government funds. Somebody needs to. Because I'll tell you what, even Grant's friend, that's an FBI agent, said he don't have the authority to ask anybody to stay quiet. And he cannot make up his own rules, and they cannot be in a court order to risk your life to get him information. Only. And if he didn't pay her, he's the only one that could have took it. And he's probably got somebody else covering it up for him in there too. Been stealing a long time then. I'm going to upload. But Agent John, I'd like my money.